We've been working on this problem for some while, many years, and what it involves is the disregard for the earth and the cleanliness, and what we have is dumping. People are dumping in substantial amounts, truckloads, trailer loads, boxes, bags. We find dead animals, we find chemicals, we find household goods, dressers, refrigerators, appliances. All of these things should be properly disposed of at our city refuge facilities or our convenience centers, but they're not. So what does this mean? It means we are poisoning ourselves. The bottom line is we're poisoning ourselves. And we're leaving an environment that is dirty, it's toxic, and unhealthy. And that material will wash into the streams, sink into the ocean, wash into the soils, percolate down into the groundwater which we drink. All of that is a problem. Now, you might think out of sight, out of mind today, but you may not impact yourself, but your future generations, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will inherit this foul stench of a place. Bottle caps, something as simple as bottle caps. How do they end up in the ocean? Well, some people take bottles and redeem them. 5 cents a bottle is paid to them. So what they do, they take the 5-cent bottle, the company recycling or purchasing it from them will not accept the bottle with the cap on it. So they take the cap off and discard it or throw it down on the sidewalk, as you see here, and then which eventually ends up in the river and then ends up into the ocean or our streams. So a very serious problem. Oils and paints and thinners and lacquers, we find that being dumped here as well. As you can see in some of the photos and the video, there is lots and lots of this material dumped. What's the proper way to do it? Go to your city refuge website, opala.org, and look and see. And there's a proper way of disposing of paints. There's a proper way of disposing of thinners. There is a proper way of disposing of oils. But we find 5 gallons, 10 gallons, 15 gallons, sometimes 10 5-gallon buckets filled with oil or chemicals or paint or thinner or lacquer. So the question is, do you want to see this? Do you want this to happen? Do you want our environment to be impacted such as this? Some ask, how do we deal with this and how do we eliminate it? Well, first of all, go ahead and do what you can do to prevent it. Avoid dumping, avoid illegal dumping, avoid chemicals. Discard the chemicals, bug sprays, and all of that in the proper place. Contact your local government agency, the City and County of Honolulu, and ask them what is the proper thing to do. We should open the convenience centers, keep them open longer. They're operated by the city. Keep the landfill open longer. Because imagine if you're driving and you come home in the evening and you got off work, you take that material, you pack your truck up, you go to the dump, you find the dump is closed. Some people are inclined to go back home and come the next day, but there are some that really don't bother. They will dump it on any access road, highway, shoulders, or what have you. So that is a real problem. And how do we eliminate illegal dumping? We should be prosecuting. Legislators in this state have made so many false calls claiming to resolve these issues with various bills. Some of them are just, you would think many people that introduced them were smoking Pacololo, to be honest with you, because nothing has ever changed. It's gotten worse. And with the increase of the COVID impact, financial impact that we're seeing substantially more materials out on the streets, in the bushes, in the ravines, in ditches, and then on empty property. So if you have a problem, you should try and clean it up immediately, because if it sits there, it serves as an attractant. Others see it there, they will then come and dump. It becomes a dump fest, so to speak. Imagine you being a child, you walk into school, when they do start back to walking school, they got to walk past these piles of junk, this towering filth. That's what they'll have to do. And how do you do that? You clean it up. We pay taxes. Taxes should be used and to respond properly and timely to clean up these materials. It's a sad, sad situation. I'm standing here at the edge of the ocean right now. You can hear the waves possibly going off. And all of that, when you see people talking about plastics, there's more plastics in the ocean, larger than the state of Texas. Yeah, that means our minds are small as beans, because we should know better. We should be more responsible. And it is true, some of the dangers of these plastics that you dump, birds ingest them. Some seabirds, albatross, ingest them. And then they ingest that plastic, whether toothbrush or dental floss packet, cigarette lighters. The Laysan albatross, for example, here found in this area, will in fact ingest and take that material back, and thinking as if squid or some other prey that they feed on, and will feed that to their babies, and you'll find in the babies' cavities a bolus after they've died. the toothbrush, the bottle caps, the soap bottle cap, the sports drink caps, and all of those things that have been consumed by the parents who forage for food out at sea. So we are having a definite impact, a negative impact, and I don't think it's one that any of us should be proud of. How can you help? Basically, if you see it, pick it up. But if you see it and you think it's chemicals, don't pick it up. Call the proper authorities. And that one bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, might say soap, dish soap. Don't take it for the face value. Don't trust any labels, because once the buckets are emptied of their original ingredients, no matter how harmful or not so harmful they will be, people will take hazardous materials and place it in those buckets and then dispose of those buckets along the way in the bushes and what have you. So don't assume that it says cooking grease or lard or peanut butter, because the original ingredients may have been used and the buckets were used later secondarily to dump illegal materials. All of these things that you see here threatens our health. It exposes us to a risk. Could be cancers, asthma, all kinds of illnesses associated with chemicals and toxic waste. If you see piles of floor tile, don't touch them, because they may contain asbestos, and we know the dangers of asbestos. So much of the things we find is asbestos. We're worried about lead. When a television is dumped and the glass is broken, you introduce lead into the environment from the old televisions. When we see bottles and things introduced to the environment, they contain lead. And the foil on the wine bottles and what have you has lead in the old days. So a lot of these things that we see today, things have changed somewhat, but the act of illegal dumping is just wrong, period. There's no other explanation for it. It's just wrong. How a lot of these things that we see now along the highways and the back roads, how are they in the illegal dumping? Let me explain one scenario or a couple. The landfill charges commercial dumpers to dump at the landfill so many dollars per ton. And if it's special waste, it has to be charged an extra special care cost. Special handling, they call it. the special handling fee and the hauling fee and the tipping fee and the trucking fee all adds up. So what if a dishonest driver, truck driver, comes along, gets a job, agrees to hire for profit, for costs, take that material, load up the truck, the originator, the owner of the property, or whoever is responsible for generating it, that waste, pay and that party to transport it to the proper place. But that don't go all the way. What happens is sometimes the truckers who's contracted with the people will take that and shortstop it, won't go to the landfill, and they will pocket the tipping fee, the transport fee, and the handling fee. And so the best way to do this and to fight that is to ask for a way bill and a bill that shows that the material has been delivered. Even that can be tricky. So this is just a few ways we see things dumped along the side of the road. It's just one of many reasons. We find that people that do commercial house cleaning, they agree to clean houses, and there's waste materials generated, so they take that material and dump it. Hotels, for example, we found in some of these pictures you see, the hotel industry here locally have actually hired people to collect the TVs out of the old TVs when they're trying to renew, take those televisions and dump them on the side roads and get paid for them. So basically there's two people being impacted. The hotel industry that hired these people to place it properly, and then the public who has to then pay someone on the contract to clean up our city streets. So it's a very, very serious situation and a costly one. Not to mention, as I've already said, the health of the people and the health of the environment. Now, one of the other negative impacts on this, let's say when you see a car that's dumped. Now, cars are dumped frequently, and that requires a whole lot of more time to explain how and why. Some of the cars are stolen, some are abandoned, some are torched, burned. But imagine one car abandoned on the side of the road or in some bushes or in a ditch or in a ravine. One car has oils, fluids, washer fluids, transmission fluids, brake fluids. So when you dump that car along the side of the road, you're now introducing potentially all of that material into the environment. But there's a bigger problem. Many of these cars are set ablaze or set fire to, and then that triggers an emergency response by the fire department. The fire department responds as in any emergency or any fire, because they get a 911 call. Now you're exposing the firemen to dangers in traffic. And so imagine that. You can, by one act of illegal dumping, you can cause a harm to many people, intentionally or unintentionally. It happens. So again, take your car and take it to a recycler. They have free recyclers around, free towing. You can call any of them and or donate the car. Recycle it properly, because in a car now, you have foam, plastics, vinyl, and other materials that are not suitable or good for the environment. But when you walk away and dump it and leave that car there, now you're inviting other people who will come and add trash to that site. So there's a reason for much of this. We have toilets. I just went and took pictures of, there's 6 toilet bowls dumped along the side of the road. That's porcelain. Dangerous, attractive nuisance to children. So it makes a problem, presents a problem. Dangerous problem, that is. So anything can be illegally dumped. Anything can be illegally dumped. Doesn't mean what it is. If it's not supposed to be dumped or placed on the side of the road in a dumping or city pickup trash day, then it's illegal dumping. Now, we have some people that a lot of our waste that we see here will be introduced by people that go and pick trash or go to the nonprofit Goodwills and what have you, or other nonprofit organizations that collect materials for tax donation. And we found that in the past, people actually get materials and things and repair some, and all that's left, they throw it back onto the highway or side roads or in the ditches and the valleys. What does this do for everything? Even the plastic six-pack carrier. Turtles can get trapped, get it around their neck. Monk seals can get trapped. Other wildlife can get impacted as well. What we really want to do is, hopefully, over the coming years, people become, you and I, when I say people, become more responsible, take a more active role in preventing the acts of illegal dumping. If you see illegal dumping, call and report it. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch these videos and educate yourself on them, and I again appreciate all your support, all of the phone calls, and many of you wonder, how do we know all of these sites? Well, we learn of these illegal dumping instances by you calling us, calling EnviroWatch at envirowatch.org, envirowatch.org, 782-6627, 808 area code. And we'll try and get the right people there, file a complaint, do something to try and keep our environment clean. We don't need this kind of behavior. Clean up your act, let's say. It will make a difference.
Mm-hmm.